you know our next guest, I'm a huge fan. As the science guy, please welcome science educator, mechanical engineer, New York Times best-selling author. Bill, this is going to take me an hour to get through all this. And the host of the Emmy-nominated Bill Nye Saves the World on Netflix. Please welcome Bill Nye. Bill, it's so nice to have you.
Thank you, Sam. Good to see you, man.
All right, so let's get started with all this. So we all know you as the guy who made science fun.
Science is fun, people. What's more fun than science?
So, should I congratulate you on the book first? Climate Change is the great test of our ability to harness critical thinking. So far, we're pretty much flunking that course.
That's true. You're reading from what we like to call my latest book. But the first kids' book I wrote was in 1993. Which was in the 20th century. And in there is a demonstration about greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah.
And we haven't done a doggone thing. So, but we can, if we just get to work right now, we can address this issue and save the world for humans. But I emphasize, the Earth's going to be here no matter what we do. We want to save the Earth for us, humans.
Yeah, so your point is we might not be here on the Earth, but the Earth will be here?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so, of course, there are a few humans I wouldn't mind, of course, like so many people. But you guys, we can do this. The key, everybody, in my opinion, which, as you know, is correct, is we want to integrate the ideas of energy and climate. And when we talk about energy, we're talking about electricity. Electricity is magical. You can have this crazy, amazing studio with these lights and all these people, or make toast, all with electricity. And so, no, it's a really big idea, and I want us to get to work on it.
But let me just go back again to the quote from the book, the latest book. Because a lot of people do feel like we haven't made much progress. And I've even seen it on Twitter when we were, saying, hey guys, come watch the show. And they're like, haven't we been talking about this for years? What do you say when people say that to you?
The longest journey starts with a single step. So let's go. Let's get her done. So hearkening to the relationship between the United States and Canada.
Yeah.
These were allied countries in World War II. And I talk about my parents all the time. They're both veterans of World War II. This week will be the anniversary of Pearl Harbor, which was affected the U.S., as you may recall. And so...
I mean, I wasn't there, but in history,
nor was
yes.
I, but everybody got together and resolved this global crisis in 5 years. So let's go. Let's do this. The things we got to do, we want to provide clean water. I'm pointing to the Earth map here. Clean water, reliable, renewably produced electricity, and access to the internet, or whatever the internet comes to be called, for everybody in the world. These are economic opportunities for all of us, especially the service providers. This is to say, as the economy in the United States and Canada, or the United States especially, is no longer manufacturing, but service providing. This is going to provide the internet, clean water, electricity. Let's go.
Now, you spent some time talking in Canada with Prime Minister Trudeau.
Yes.
And I know that you guys had a little back and forth a little bit, but did you come to some kind of consensus on converting to renewables?
I mean, he is a politician. He's working the problem. So I believe you guys here are experts on this, but a Canadian citizen would be nominally the cleanest or smallest carbon footprint citizen in any developed country, with a couple exceptions like Denmark. But if you include the tar sands, then the Canadian citizen becomes the worst. And the tar sands don't get that much press, even in Canada. But man, there you go. There's images of it. The scale of it is amazing.
Well,
and very troubling.
That's where I was going next, because you've spoken out about those tar sand areas in Canada.
Well, this is not rocket surgery, people. You go take a look at Fort McMurray, Alberta, and you tell me, man, you scrape the forest off to get to this tar, which has the charming organic chemistry name asphaltene. It's natural asphalt mixed with sand. And you cook it. The chemical engineers have discovered develop ways to get oil, burnable oil out of it. But the process is so carbon dioxide intensive. It's bad. It's bad.
And So it's useless, basically.
Well, it's not useless. People burn all the time. And look, you guys, I bet we all benefit from the carbon economy. We're all here. All this fabric, all these amazing lights, and the clothes we're wearing, everything depends so far on fossil fuels. But it's time to stop. Let's go.
Now, we all know you
Redirect.
as Bill Nye the Science Guy, but
Yeah.
you've talked about this before, and you've kind of said that that came about by accident. You want to tell me a little bit about
Oh, you
how
mean the
all
story
that,
of my life,
yeah,
which is
how all that
fascinating.
happened? Because we have 24 hours.
So our story begins. No, so I was in college. I don't know if you heard this early part of the story, and my guy who had been my freshman roommate, Dave Lax. Dave went into material science, I went into mechanical engineering, but we still lived very near each other in College Town in Ithaca, New York, and he said, you got to come see this guy. So he had this innovation, Sam, his household with his roommates. They had cable television. Whoa, dude. And so it was Steve Martin at the Boarding House. The Boarding House is a nightclub in San Francisco. So this guy's just like you. Look at this. Well, a year and a half later, a new set of I got a job at Boeing. I was recruited. And I like to remind people, I work on 747s mostly. I was very well supervised. Don't worry. Everything's fine. It's perfectly safe. Anyway, this new set of friends said, you got to enter the Steve Martin lookalike contest. And I did, and I won. I mean, due respect. I did not advance beyond Seattle, but after you do stand-up comedy, you get hooked on it. So I tried to write my own jokes. Then I got a job on a comedy show in Seattle, the same show that Joel McHale came from eventually.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, all right, yeah. So one week, the story varies. It was either Eddie Vedder, who was going to, from Pearl Jam, or it was Geraldo Rivera. Somebody canceled, a guest canceled.
Yeah.
So we had 6 minutes to fill, which is a long time, 6 minutes. And so the host, Ross Schaefer, you may have crossed paths with him now and then. He went on to host the new Match Game.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, he said, you could be like Bill Nye, the Science Guy or something. And then he got up and left because he also had the #1 afternoon drive radio show, the same guy. So I did, as you'd expect, I did the household uses of liquid nitrogen, because we've all got liquid nitrogen around.
Just sitting around somewhere.
Sure you do. And so, the celery's limp, you make it crispy, you hit the onion, it sounds like breaking glass.
Yeah.
Then the payoff, and I spent a lot of time with this. I was a young guy. I was I was a volunteer at the Pacific Science Center. I chew marshmallows that are frozen, roasted in liquid nitrogen, and steam comes out of your nose. It's very satisfying.
And not dangerous at all.
Oh, it's fine. You can burn your tongue, but I've done it hundreds of times, and you can see I'm fine.
He's fine.
No, but that's where it started. But I was also, as a young guy, I was a big brother. Do you know what I mean? United Way Big Brother. And it just became clear to me that the future, obviously, future is our young people. We had the Ford Pinto, the Chevy Vega. We abandoned teaching the metric system in the U.S. And I worked for this group of guys, they were all men, at this company which is now Honeywell. It got bought out. I left Boeing and went to a shipyard. It was just too low tech. And then I went back into aerospace. And they were just terrified of everything made in Japan.
Yeah.
And I just felt the U.S. was losing its edge. So technically. So I wanted to get young people excited about science. And so.
And you did.
Yeah,
I think you have.
With the hell, yeah, thank you. So why don't you people, you're all grown up now, get out there and save the flipping world, man. And so what we got to do, Sam, we're on this show, we are all believers, we are all concerned about this, we are all fighting the fight, but we've got to reach people on the other side of what you would call the political aisle who are still living in skepticism about the importance of climate change. And I just tell everybody, it's not just that it's getting warmer, it's getting warmer faster. That's the problem. So we got to clean water, renewable electricity, access to the internet. We got to rate and see if you have those three things, you can have agriculture and food.
You have a smarter population to deal with all the problems.
Well, that comes when you have renewable electricity that provides access to the internet, probably in the developing world with low orbiting spacecraft, constellations of spacecraft.
Oh yeah, that's
that
the new worldwide internet.
Well, that will hand the internet off the way you hand mobile phones from user to user. And then you can have education and you can raise the standard of living of girls and women, and then the world population will manageably decrease. The world will be better for everybody. Let's go. Let's get her done.
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Thank you,
Ladies and
Sam.
gentlemen, he's his own show all the time.
Go.